the key to saving the world, to saving reality, lies in some movies. And one of those movies is The Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal, 1982, by Jim Henson, holds the key to saving reality. And what's the key? We got to save the soul. That is the root cause of all the anguish of reality, is the pain that's in the heart of the soul. The crystal in the Dark Crystal represents the soul. And why is it turned dark? It is turned dark because it has split. The soul has split into two. And that's why you have the mystics and the Skeksis. They are actually one being, but now they have become two. So this represents a split in the soul of reality as represented by the crystal. So this is a very deep meaning, because in most movies, when you look at good and evil, evil is just always something to be destroyed. But here, what it is showing you is that you cannot destroy evil. On some level, you have to accept it and learn how to balance it with the good, which is very hard for our human minds to grasp. That why is there bad things? Why is there evil in the world? Well, the answer is, without it, there could be no differences. There could be no variation. There could be no understanding of what is good and what is not good. You need the evil for reality to exist, so there can be some comparisons made. And that is part of being in the quote-unquote matrix, the material realm, what might be seen as the more superficial realm. Superficial, why? Because it's not eternal. Yet the inner, deeper reality is eternal. So in the Dark Crystal, when you look at the Skeksis and the mystic, these represent the highest and lowest potential of humankind. The mystics represent mystics. They represent the higher self, the spiritual self, that self that has achieved oneness with God and therefore has become mystic. To be a mystic is to see that everything is love. They're shamans. They do astrology. They basically are patterned after, they're emulated after Tibetan Buddhist monks, which just represents this life dedicated to spirituality. They chant, all right, and they have this deeper understanding. They also, I believe, was there prophecies and visions? Maybe. But they have this deeper understanding of reality. And what do you have on the opposite side? You have the Skeksis. That represents our dark urges, our narcissistic urges, which again, they're actually not all bad. On some level, you do need these darker urges, these so-called, I'm saying so-called because it's not always necessarily so dark, right? But yeah, they're completely narcissistic. All they care about are pleasures of the flesh. And then even when they have what's kind of like their darkest kind of spiritual leader, who's actually a scientist, he's literally, they're literally sucking the souls of other life forms, feeding on those souls, feeding on their sacred energy in order to extend their material bodies to live longer physically. And so, because of this, the soul of this reality has become dark because it is split. It is not one. It is not unified. It is not whole. And from the splitting of the two, you have the splitting into infinite things and basically chaos. What is chaos? Chaos is a land that's not ruled by love. That is the true chaos. Love is the law of reality, the law of the universe. And when that has been dimmed or obscured, then you get the spiritual darkness and chaos, which is, essentially unpleasantness. It's a reality that you don't prefer, that's not enjoyable, because at the end of the day, that's what matters, is having a harmonious and enjoyable reality. So the Skeksis represent the darkest, most selfish, most narcissistic, most ego selves. So when they heal the dark crystal through the hero, who does it by going through the hero's journey, making the great sacrifice, and finding love, part of his power, his whole power comes from his great love of his Gelfling girlfriend and of the mystics that raised him. So he is the one that brings the both sides together, ultimately, him and his Gelfling girlfriend partner. And the symbolic bringing together of the broken crystal piece, the shard, that heals the land. And then what happens is the Skeksis and the mystics become one, and they become this higher, eternal, spiritual being. So there's a lesson there about, on some level, we need to love the darkness within ourselves, which comes with being human. It's not our fault that we're born with these human desires, human wants, human needs, which has its beautiful aspects. But then another aspect is the fact that we are imperfect beings, and there's no getting around that. We must also accept the dark parts in ourselves, as the mystics must accept the Skeksis. Not only must we accept the dark parts of ourselves, we must accept dark people. Not to accept any bad behavior, but still to accept them and realize, they're also imperfect. Again, it's not to accept their behavior, but pretty much across the board, if somebody has a very loving upbringing, and when I say love, I don't mean spoiled, they will turn out to be good, loving people. A lot of people turn bad, quote unquote, because they have been programmed in the wrong way or with lots of negative experiences. So for them, that's reality. They've been programmed with that reality. And if we want to heal them, we have to find a way to love them and accept them. Again, not to accept any bad behavior, but just realize that they are still human and they're still a reflection of the divine spirit of which everything is. We must accept the good and the bad. And at the end of the day, it all serves the good. I hope you guys like that. Peace and love. Lucid Man, Elamate.